Okay. So thank you guys all for being on, and thank you for being site directors, assistant site directors, all the things that we have to have with when we have this many locations. I do appreciate it. So, and I said before, I'm going to say it on the recording so it's official. There are a lot of very seasoned people on this call. So if I miss something, please feel free to jump in, come off mute, mention it. If there's something I say that is inconsistent or different from last year, also let me know. I want to make sure that everybody is as prepared as possible for our weekend in a couple of weeks. So I do have a quick PowerPoint. Um, Very laid back meeting. Feel free to jump in anytime. I want to make sure everybody is comfortable for the weekend coming up. So let's do, I'm going to share my screen. There we go. Okay. So now I can't see anybody. So if anybody has questions, just let me know. Um, this is a site director meeting for the adult 18 and over district championships the weekend of August 9th. I wanted to tell you a little bit about our championship philosophy and our aspiration. Our mission is to provide an excellent championship experience for players, captains, and staff. Want to make sure that as much work and long days as this can be for everybody on this call and everybody that's working and volunteering, that you also have a good experience. So please keep us informed as things go if you need anything at all. Um, this is a service role. We provide the platform for fun, exciting tennis competition. We like to say that we build experiences and memories as much as competition and fun. They're great social and bonding experiences for players and teams. And just know that we are the face of the championships and the site. So kind, pleasant interactions with players and captains is a must. Know that emotions run high, especially sometimes on the last day. Um, just if you have any issues, let your tournament director know, let me know, and just try to keep that smiling face on there, even if somebody is a little bit upset. Our values are excellence, passion, innovation, inclusiveness, and accountability. Okay, so this is, and you guys will get a copy of this as a PDF. So you'll have these telephone numbers and these email addresses. The blue district, Peter Shutter, is going to be the tournament director. For green is Laura, red is Charlie, and white is Esther and Anne Marie, our co-tournament directors. And then I'm going to be up and around wherever I'm needed. So my email and phone number is on a little bit later slide, but this way you've got it. You've got your phone numbers and your email addresses at your fingertips. If you need something immediately, call or text your tournament director. If for some reason you can't get a hold of your tournament director, you are more than welcome to call one of the other tournament directors. Sometimes the clubs have varying degrees of phone cell service, and sometimes it's easier if get a hold of somebody else. So we're all working together. We're all doing the same thing. So feel free to call anybody if you have any issues. You will have at your site, whether they're shipped or delivered, you'll have all the balls, your site boxes, any equipment that you need for the tournament desk, all of your giveaways, all of those things will be at the sites for you, unless you have worked something else out with your site director, and that is between you and your tournament director. So feel free to just show up on the day and know that everything's going to be there ready for you and waiting. A few things about kind of what we expect with your dress code. You know, some of the clubs have air conditioning, some do not. Shorts, pants. If you've got a USTA shirt, that's great. If not, something that's comfortable, something that looks nice in Tennessee. You're going to get a name badge that's a bright yellow color that you can wear that will identify you as staff. So feel free to just wear whatever you would normally wear and be comfortable in the clubs. Before your club arrival, especially on the first day, if you're at a club that's playing on Friday, you want to be there at least an hour early so that you can put together bags and get everything set up. The teams will start showing up about 45 minutes early, so you want to be there a little bit earlier than they get there. So that kind of helps. The second and third day, sometimes you don't need to be there quite an hour early, but it's always good to get there and just be ready. You'll have things to set up. You'll have bags to put the player cards in, their lineup cards, their player gifts. All of those things will be at the clubs for you, so you can do that. And then please feed yourselves, and please also feed your volunteers if you have volunteers. There is a there's a $70 per day per person limit on food. So please try to stay under that. No alcohol can be expensed for any reason. I will send out at the end of the championship, or your tournament director will, one of us, the Excel spreadsheet that is an expense sheet that you can get to you and your volunteers. If you are at a site and you want to put everybody's stuff on one and get one check and then pay everybody, that's fine. Or we can take, every person can fill out one, whatever is the easiest for you at your site when it comes to your expenses and your mileage. But I will send all of that out on Monday after the championship. Does anybody have any questions about that or anything that happened last year that we need to kind of cover?
Is the amount still going to be 15 of the players' gift, 15 per team?
Yes, 15 per team. Yep. No towels this year, guys. No towels.
Christy, is there a time period in which you want expenses to be sent in after the event? I know last year we had some that came in like a month and a half after the event, and we'd already invoiced everything. So
I need to double check with our operations manager on that, but yes, and it probably will be like 30 days. But in the final email that I send to everybody on that Monday, I'll put a date in there and let you guys know so that you have plenty of time. We have a new operations person, and so she has some different time frame for what she needs, and I don't have it in front of me right now. So I will get it.
okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So for the initial captain check-in, we are going to ask them to get there 45 minutes early so that you can get them their bag with their player lineup cards. Oh, I forgot to take towels out. I'll change that. Their player gifts. All of those, they need to get those 45 minutes early so that they have time to fill out the lineup cards and get them back to you, and then give you time to check the lineups. So that's why we have them come 45 minutes early before their first match. If you have somebody who's a brand new captain, you might need to remind them they have to write the player's name as it is in Tennis Link, so that it matches when we go to input scores. So if their name in Tennis Link is Robert, it needs to say Robert on the lineup card and not Bob. Those kind of things. We just do kind of a quick reminder of those things, and then tell the players they need to match the time and the day with the time and the day of the scheduled match so that we can get the matching cards together. Those are just sort of things that the newer captains don't always know and don't always realize. So when we do that, before we put the matches out, you'll check the lineups. You will have a roster book, a 3-ring binder that has all of the rosters in it for all of your teams. And you'll just check and make sure that they're in the correct NTRP level, that they have enough matches, qualified matches to play, which is 2, and 1 can be a default no matter what their NTRP type. If they are ineligible because of not having enough matches, or if they've been suspended, they will be dark grayed out on your lineups. It'll be very clear that they're ineligible. make sure you check the match numbers up here on the one on the left, highlighted in yellow. It says Friday, July 14th, 2023, and then it has a number underneath it that starts with 29. You want to make sure that both halves of your lineup card, those two numbers match. That way you'll know you've got the right match, and when you go to put in your scores, you can throw that in and it's already there. We 100% ID check. So what we've been doing is when somebody comes, they play the first time on the roster that's in your 3-ring binder, we put a check mark by it, and that way you know you've already checked their ID. Some people check them every time. That's fine too. The idea is to make sure that the right player is playing in the right position and nobody's trying to pull a fast one. You'll have your balls there. It's one can. If they split sets, they don't get a new can. They have to play with the same balls that they started with. We have to put out in order of strength. So 1 singles, 2 singles, 1 doubles, 2 doubles, 3 doubles. That has to go out in that order so that if there happens to be a default, we default from the bottom up. You have to wait if they aren't there, which is which would be kind of a problem with tight schedules, but we cannot default a singles 1 before a singles 2, and we can't default a 1 or 2 doubles before a 3 doubles. So if you have any questions about that, make sure you ask your tournament director. If you have a problem, if somebody is late, if you think that they're going to be late, then just make sure that you kind of double check so that we can get everybody out at the right time. And then you're going to have them report scores. Make sure that you or your assistant site director or your volunteer actually writes the scores down and not the players. That way, number one, we can read it. And number two, we make sure that we get the right scores in there and that they are correct and somebody's not trying to do something with the system. So I did put these blank cards on the left-hand side of the page so that you can see what it's going to look like when you get it. It's not going to be colorful like this. Obviously, it's just, but what you are going to fill out is in the pink. So that would be the scores. We're checking for accuracy, which would be the yellow, the date, the time, the match number. The captains are filling out the green. For the adult 18 and over, we'll have 2 additional lines. So you'll have 1 singles, 2 singles, and then 1, 2, and 3 doubles. And then already printed would be all of this at the top. That's the team name, the captain's name, the NTRP level, which flight they're in, and all of that. So that'll be all pre-printed. So you'll have it. Does anybody have any questions about that?
No.
Nope.
Just a quick reminder, Christy, that when we get the scores back and we are taking the scores, make sure you're also writing the time off. You're going to put in the pink on that left sheet, there's a time on for the match and a time off, and make sure you put the court number, because at certain points in the day, all of a sudden you have like court 6 is open and the matches are still on 1 through 4, and you want to know that court 6 just came off and you can use that court. But you may have players that are playing back-to-back matches. So what time off is really important, because you have to give a player a half an hour. You have to give that player half an hour. So if they're in the next lineup, you need to be able to have that time.
Yes, thank you. That's and that time, if there is a wait time, the time is from the second that match is over, not when they wander up to the desk and put the scores in. It's from the time that match is over. And then also you'll get each captain will have a half of these sheets. And then when you get the 2 matching together, you'll have Scotch tape, and you just tape them in the back so that they tape together and make one piece of paper.
Are there going to be any other supplies besides the Scotch tape so that we know what we need to bring with us?
So you shouldn't need to bring anything at all. The tape, you'll have scissors, you'll have pens, you'll have ID badges, you'll have a little notebook for just incidental notes. I don't have the list in front of me, but you
There's
shouldn't
a
have
net, a
anything.
net measurer is there.
I will double check. I do think Paul puts in a tape measure.
Yeah, he
They
did.
always have.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
Okay. So tape
The only
measure
thing
should
you
be
need is
in
a
there.
computer.
You do want to bring a laptop, however.
Yeah.
Yes.
There has to be one laptop at every site. So both the assistant and the site director together don't each have to have a laptop. You can share a laptop putting scores in, but there does need to be a computer because very often the clubs won't let us use theirs. So
And we are working on everybody. Each site will have access to enter scores. So your tournament directors for each of your districts are giving us everybody's names, USTA number, so that we can give that to national so that you'll have access to enter scores. Okay. So this is what a filled out card looks like. So when they come up and they report scores. So as you see on the left, it has what court it is, the time on, the time off. You circle the team that wins, and then you always report winner's score first. So 6-2, 6-3. That's the way you'll put it into Tennis Link. Both captains need to sign once all the matches are complete. And when they come off, and we try to make this very clear on the captain's meeting that somebody from each team that's on the court needs to come and report scores. And somebody needs to initial. So if you'll see over here by Rostick, on line 1 at the top, he initialed RD, but then also JW on the right, the losing team also did. So just remind them somebody from the losing team also needs to report scores. It helps the captains when they come to sign the scorecard at the end to really know that their players okayed that score. It's just an extra double check to make sure that all the scores are correct before we put them into. Did somebody have a question?
I do. Sorry, Christy. Where in the binder would you like us to store these score sheets?
So Paul will send you, I think it's like a 10 by 13 manila envelope. And you can just slide them in there when you're done. And then when you mail things back, you can just put them back because we're going to mail them to you in a box, an actual mailing box, not one of the plastic ones, but something that you can just turn around, refill. All I need back are, and actually I was talking to you guys this morning, Esther and Anne-Marie. We're going to leave some of the stuff in the Northern Connecticut area for the adult 40s. So we'll kind of talk through that. But I do need the scorecards back for storage for at least a year. And then the site director binders. So those can go in the box and be just shipped back to me. But you should have an envelope. If not, I will double check with Paul that he's putting an envelope in there too. And then once you put the scores into Tennis Link, if you initial up here in the top right-hand corner, that way if somebody comes along behind you, if there's 2 or 3 people working at your desk, they know which score sheets have been entered and which ones have been entered into Tennis Link. So it just saves a little time. Okay, so the biggest change for this championship is that the 3-strike DQ will now be run on the Monday morning after the championship and not at all during the championship. So historically, we have run it about every 30 minutes, starting on Friday from the time matches start until Sunday when matches are over, and occasionally have disqualified a player during the championship. So that is not going to happen this year. So you might get questions about that. That was voted on change in regulation by the Section League Committee, and we'll run it on Monday. If anybody does get disqualified for the 3-strike through the 3-strike DQ on Monday, the matches for the championship stand that have already been played, but they are not eligible to advance at that NTRP level to sectionals or to nationals. It is for self-rated and appeal rated players only. And yeah, and then if he strikes out, then they won't be allowed to play. So, and then this is a fact sheet that we put out for 3-strike DQs. So if anybody has any questions, that is a public facing document, the one on the right, and I can get, I'll have that hyperlinked in for you guys so that you have it as well. I think I heard hand.
Christy, Michael had a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so are there, so there's not going to be any trophy presentation? There's no trophies or anything?
No, we're not doing trophies for the district winners, but I do have, a little bit later on. I'll give you a list of like what you need to tell the players, where they're going to be, where the section championships are going to be held, where, who's going to contact them and things like that.
Okay, so they won't know if they don't know for sure that they won until Monday.
No, they'll know that they should know, on Sunday afternoon if they've won or not. The 3-strike DQ running on Monday doesn't have anything to do with who wins and who
Well,
doesn't.
you can win the districts with a player that got disqualified.
If you win and they get disqualified, then they cannot advance. That's correct.
But
So the
team
team
still
cannot,
advances.
sorry, the
The
team
player
cannot
cannot
advance or just that player?
Just that player.
But the player who was disqualified, do their results stand?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay, just want to make sure that was clear. Doesn't sound right, but okay.
So that is going the direction that the other sections go as well. And 12 of the 17 sections, including us, now run the 3-strike DQ after the championship.
Yeah, it's not a big deal to
Jim?
run it after the championship. It's just a question of letting the team go anyway. If they got somebody DQ'd and they wouldn't have gone without that player winning. I mean, that's
Right.
not fair to the other teams.
The way, so National doesn't let's go back and reverse matches at the conclusion of a championship. Once the championship is over, they deem it as completed.
Jim
Okay,
had a question also.
thanks.
Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe he's gone.
Okay, yeah, I can't hear him. Did he?
I think he might have dropped off. No, he's still there. Jim,
Okay.
did you have a question? Go ahead. You're muted. His hand's up, but
Okay, we'll pop in time if you do have a question.
or put it in the chat.
Yeah. Okay, so a few other items that we have. And when I close out this presentation, this is the last slide. I'll show you these hyperlinks so that you'll know where they're at. But there is a spreadsheet to put the winners on for our marketing department. And so work with your tournament director and see if they want to do that or if they want you to do that, depending on which TRP levels are at which club. It doesn't make me any difference. We just need to let James know so that he can do a little bit of a story and and put it out on social and get some just information out there. The photo, those are the photos they're in an open Google Drive. So feel free to share this link for the photos with anybody that wants to take pictures. The more pictures we take for James, the better. He's not going to be able to come to the championship to any of the clubs for districts at all. So the more we can take, the better. Also, when you do have a team that does win their district, if we can get a picture of that team with a banner that's going to be sent to you, and then just make sure you name it so that we know who it is. And James can come back on Monday and ask us and get some final determinations and some final information from everybody. But those are going to be the photo boxes just to drop your pictures in as you take them. So feel free to take a lot of pictures. The more pictures, the better. For your regulations, everything is now on the captain and player hub. We do not have a separate set of championship regulations anymore. So we're going with the regulations, the section regulations. And if you have any questions, please feel free to call and ask either your tournament director or myself. The determination of flight winners, everything is as it stands in Tennis Link. It is team wins, which might be different for some of the flights that play locally. Some of them do points per position. So just make sure that they know for championships, it is team wins. If there's a tie, it goes to individual position wins, head to head, sets lost, fewest sets lost, and then fewest games lost. But all that's in the regulations, so you can refer to it. You will get a copy of the section regulations in your binder, so you'll have a hard copy as well. We don't do defaults, but if somebody does have a single line default, let them know that any matches played on that line previously and any in the future for the round robin piece are reversed, scored 0-0 for the other team, 6-0-6-0. So say they've played twice, they're in a 4-team flight, they got 3, they're going to default line 3 doubles on their third match. We will reverse the first 2 to 6-0-6-0 wins for the other team. It stands for advancing, for qualifications of advancing, and it stands for NTRP, but in the stands, it will be reversed for a win for the other team. It helps with the mathematical advantage, so nobody has one, but sometimes, especially new captains, if they have to default for whatever reason, that is a very frustrating piece for them. So if you have somebody
So
Yeah,
can do we go back, into Tennis Link afterward and make changes to that? Because if we are inputting scores as we're going along, we'll already have input the scores of those
Yes,
first 2
so
matches.
what you'll do is contact whoever is your tournament director and just say a single line default. These are the match numbers and one of us will handle it. Yeah.
Thanks. Sorry, I don't mean to cut anybody off. It's just I can't see.
Hello,
Yeah, go ahead,
yeah, this is Jim.
Jim.
I want, can we revisit the DQ thing for a minute?
Yeah, go ahead.
You're breaking up.
In the regular season, the person is deep. Those scores get reversed to no. And I understand at this time that's not going to happen in the districts.
Right, so during the local season, if a player strikes out, all the 3 matches that were strike level or above are reversed. If they get a strike during the championship, the match will not be reversed.
Wow. So the only penalty is if that team wins, that player can't play at the sectional, correct?
That's correct.
We might have to go back on that if that happens.
Yeah, you might get some feedback on that. So if you do, just make sure, take the feedback. If they want to talk to somebody at the section level, just get their name and their phone number, and one of us be very happy to call them and talk through it.
Because if a team loses and they lost against a player that was rated that is higher than his rating, all the players are used to that 6-0 reverse, and now they're going to be told, "Oh, we changed the rule. We don't do that anymore." It's just that player can't go ahead. This seems to be fair to the other players in level. I mean, I can see this could be somewhat of a problem.
Okay. Well, so it was a regulation change and it was done by the section league committee. So at the end, we do send out a survey at the end. They're more than welcome to put that in. And then you have to wait 2 years before you put in a section regulation change proposal. But if there's enough issue, somebody could try to change it back. But like I said, I agree with you. I think that we might have some people who are, that this is not their favorite change. And if they want to engage and be really negative, please send them to one of us so that you at your site don't have
Well, we wouldn't know about it.
Thanks.
We would not know about it, so I don't see any problem on Sunday when everything is all said and done, because nobody will know if anybody got DQ'd until Monday.
Oh, that's true. I do plan on making sure that it's known on the captain's meeting, so the captains will be aware of the change.
Okay, very
You're
good.
welcome.
All right, thank you.
Medical issues. So I always have a slide on my captain's meeting for medical timeouts because it's such a gray area. Just know that we are not medical people and we're not allowed to provide any kind of medical service. But most of the clubs have ice and have baggies, and you can give a player ice. If somebody wants to take a medical timeout, according to the official rule, it is 3 minutes from the time any treatment starts. Since we don't do treatment, what I normally do is whoever walks out onto the court, which a staff member walks out onto the court, talk to the player and then just tell them from this time right now, you have 3 minutes. Sometimes it ends up being a 5-minute total time. Sometimes it's 7. It depends on how far you have to walk, where the ice is. So there's a little bit of a slush in it. But I do want anybody who have medical issue to be able to have it handled, especially if they think they can come back. If at 3 minutes once treatment starts. Now, if they take a medical timeout for something like cramping in their left calf, they cannot take another medical timeout for cramping in their right calf. Cramping is cramping. So those are also some things that can get a little bit touchy if it's hot and people are having some issues. Did I hear a hand?
Yes, you did, Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Michael, did you have a question?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you were
Yeah.
muted.
So, oh, okay. Yeah, I thought so. Can anyone give medical treatment, or in other words, if they've got a doctor on their team?
Yeah, if they've got a doctor on their team, I'm not going to fight that. But what we would need, especially if it's somebody on their team, if that person walks out onto the court, they need to walk out with a staff member. You need to make sure that you
Okay.
time it at 3 minutes and there's no coaching during a medical time.
Right, that's what I was asking for, because there are obviously they can't talk about it, so we have to be there while
Right.
they're there
You
treating.
just stand with them so the other team knows that you're not allowing coaching.
Right. Okay.
I thought that if there was blood involved, they got longer because you have to deal with the cleanup.
They do. If there's blood involved, officially it says 15 minutes, but depending on where you have to go to get where the club has their stuff, it might take a little longer, it might take a little less. But yes, bleeding issues can be given a little bit more time. Just use judgment on these. This medical timeout was made very specifically for junior tournaments, adult tournaments, where there are roving officials, a referee, and an athletic trainer. So we just use your best judgment and just tell them this is what we're going to do, and it's about the safety of the players. We're going to back you. That's what I'm telling you. We're going to back you. We do a
Mary has
champion.
a question, Christy.
Oh,
Mary
go ahead.
has a question. Yep.
Sorry, you skipped over the thing on site directors, officials, and a site director guide. Are you coming back to that, or is there really nothing to say on that?
No, thanks, Mary. So we do not have officials on any of the sites. So as site directors and assistant site directors, you are considered officials. If you see something that you think deems some kind of intervention, if somebody takes a racket and slams it 72 times on the court, you are very welcome to give them a code violation and write them up. What we have to do, get that information and then file a grievance on them afterwards, which I will do, or your tournament director can do. But if there's something that happens that makes you uncomfortable, if somebody comes up to the desk in any kind of a threatening manner, call the police. I'm not playing around this year. We've had a couple of issues the last few years. Call the police and have them removed. You have 100% right to have them removed from the club. And if you have any questions about whether or not a behavior should be coded or have a grievance filed, you can just take a bunch of notes, make sure you've got all the information. When you get a break, call your tournament director, say, "This is what happened," file agreements, and we'll work with you on it.
But you
Yes.
don't do anything in the moment, I guess, right?
You can. So if say you
I'm just
you
on a
see
call.
somebody say you
Thank
see
you.
hello. Oh, so say you see somebody break their racket on the
I
court.
think I did a little bit. I watered them last
Robin?
night, but
Robin,
it's still very
Robin, could
hot.
you mute?
I just muted her.
Thanks. So if you see somebody say they break their racket on the side of the court and they're throwing a fit, you
Thanks to you guys.
go down there, tell them that they have a code violation for sportsmanship, and it starts off with you take a point, then you take a game, and then you default them. They get three strikes and they're out. That's it.
So a point, a game, and then they're out, a default. Okay.
Mhm.
But it
And
has
it's
to be
not-
pretty bad, right?
What's that?
Has to be pretty bad. It has to be like pounding the racket or something, right?
Yeah, use your judgment. It gets, I'll tell you, this was something, and I missed this the other day, but I was at Winchester and I was in the second building a couple of weeks ago, and I was walking behind the curtain, and the player came by and he slammed his racket into the curtain, and it almost hit me in the face. He had no
Ooh.
idea I was back there, but had I been closer, it probably, I mean, it was really close to my face. So those are the kind of things that we don't want them doing, because you never know what you're going to do. Or if they slam the ball into the net, what if they miss it and it hits one of the players on the other side? So if you see
Yeah,
somebody
okay.
losing it, feel free to go down there and code violate them.
Got it.
Hello, this is Conrad.
We do have a championship committee. Karen Fothrop from Enfield is the chair of that committee. And so anything, if you call your tournament director or me, and I don't know the answer, we are going to take it to the committee. We're going to get a committee decision, and we'll get it back to you as soon as possible. I'm not even that happens sometimes when we're outside and I need a decision on whether or not we're going to do short sets or something if there's weather. So if something really strange happens that we haven't talked about or hasn't come up, and we need a volunteer committee decision, then we call Karen. She's on call the whole weekend. So just know that there is an additional layer of communication with some volunteers that have the overall good of the championship in mind, and can kind of get things from an outside perspective if we need them. Okay, so that's it for this part. Does anybody have any questions?
What do you want us to do if there's a dispute on the court?
So if there's a dispute on the court, give them 30 or 45 seconds. We always tell them, if you can't fix it in 30 or 45 seconds, come up to the tournament desk and get one of us. Then somebody from the tournament desk, whether it's you or your assistant site director, or if there's a volunteer that's comfortable doing it, can go down there, talk to both sides, and if they don't know what the score is, you always go back to where they both agree on the score, and then you start from there. If it's a question about calling lines, usually we don't call lines, but you can stand on the court for 4 games, do a circuit of the doubles servers, or if it's singles, just stay 4 games, and don't call the lines. But if there's a question about a line, you can say yes or no, that was in or out. If there's some other kind of issue, just try to figure it out. And if you can't, if it's something that's unusual, something you haven't seen before, just pop on the phone and call your tournament director. Good night, Emery.
I think Davey was in front of me
Oh.
online.
No, you know what? It's okay. Christy actually just answered my question, would have been, so we're good.
Okay, I have a question
Thank you,
for, if a team member is, they've handed in their score sheet, or the match is set to go on at 11, they're not there, we give them 15 minutes and then we default, or is it like a regular match?
Yeah, so when you take their lineups, ask them if everybody is there. If
Okay.
everybody is not there, hand it back to them and say, bring it to me when everybody is here. We have
Okay.
30 minutes sort of written in our regulations. And I was talking to our national subreg liaison, and it's not enforceable. We don't tell them that. It's not, the minutes is not enforceable to start kind of time penalty, but that 30 minutes early number gives us time to check all the lineups and make sure that everybody that's listed is on the roster, eligible. And it also, if you can get them out early and you have cords, you can. So you cannot start the time clock until you have an open court, and it is the time that is listed in their schedule. So they turn their lineup in at 12:45, the match is on at 1:15, and their person's not there, just tell them to hold until they get there. That way, if for some reason the person's in a traffic jam and there are other people there, they can still change their lineup so that it reflects the people that are there, and maybe they don't have to take a default.
So if the match is set to go on at 1:15 and a half an hour after that, 1:45, they're still not there, 1:46, that's a default. Like if they only have the exact amount of players to play.
That would be a default on that line. Now, we have to default from the bottom up.
Yeah.
So if it's the one singles player who's not there, you can put 1 doubles, 2 doubles, 3 doubles. You cannot put on 2 singles. So you have to wait. They can change their lineup and switch their 2 to 1, and then their 1 to 2. So they're that the person that's left that's not there is in the 2 position. Or if they're going to be insistent that one singles player plays, it can hold things up.
Okay.
If you have another match that can go on that's scheduled at the same time, you're more than welcome to just shift to the other teams that are playing. But we cannot default 1 singles before 2. We cannot default 1 and 2 doubles before 3.
So we can tell them if like their D1 player is not there, we can have them move the rest, like they move their D2 up to 1, 3 up to 2, and default. If she doesn't come or he doesn't come, then D3 gets defaulted.
That's why that's one of the reasons we tell them to keep their lineup and not turn it in.
Yeah, but at a certain point, we'll have to look at the lineup. Like it can't be more than half an hour after the scheduled time.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Esther.
Well, first off, I think regarding the scheduled time, at the scheduled time is when the time penalties can start counting, not 30 minutes after the scheduled time.
So we'll go, yes. So, and I'll find it in Friend at Court, the exact wording, because I don't, it's like loss of.
Yes, it's the first 5. So
yeah, there are increments of what they use. So that's what you would do, is those increments according to Friend at Court. So I'll get that. I'll make sure that it's in paperwork and that everybody has it.
I can tell you what it is if you want, Christy.
Right.
Oh, go, Charlie.
It's within the first 5 minutes, it's loss of toss and loss of a game. In the second 5 minutes, you lose a second game plus loss of toss. And then in the third 5 minutes, you lose 3 games and loss of toss. And if it goes past 15 minutes, default.
Okay.
But that starts only like if the match is scheduled to go on at 1, it starts at 1.
Correct.
Yeah, yes, but you also have to have an open court.
Yeah.
Yes. Got it.
So if there's no open court, it doesn't start running until there is that open court.
Okay.
And the other thing I think is that, remember, we can default, but if we can avoid it to any extent, I think we want to, because otherwise that's going to cause us to default the other lines from, that D3 line on all the other matches that team has played. So I think we want to try to avoid that if possible. But the only other issue I wanted to say regarding that is that in that situation where we have a lineup and it's like, oh, don't give it to me until they have it, or that we potentially allow, they cannot switch their players once they've handed that lineup in. So once they've handed that lineup in, they cannot switch who is on S1, who is on S2. And we just need to also be very careful when you are at the desk that they don't see the lineup of their opponent. Because you will see the captain kind of hovering a little bit to try to get a peek as to, oh, who's playing singles for, you know, the team I'm playing against. So just make sure that those are, you receive the lineup, put it upside down. Don't leave it open ever. The only time you open the lineup so everybody can see it is after that match has been called out onto the court.
I will say though, the only time that you have to have them change it is they are going to, if they are insistent that their one singles on their way, they don't show up. You cannot default one single. They have to switch so that their two singles player plays one.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, Davey.
Hi. I was going to say, as far as not changing the entire lineup or anything, and I know in a situation that they go start warming up, they get injured in a warm up. If they have a player to take that spot, you can do that, but not change the entire lineup. So that's
That's correct.
allowed. Yeah.
Mhm.
Allowed to.
Yes, if they get injured during the warm up and they have a player, they can put that player in. Yes, that is true.
Yeah. And that's the only exception, and not changing the entire lineup. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. I wanted to show you guys a couple of web pages. Let's see if this will let me do this. Can you guys see that? It's pink. It's got pink on it.
Nope.
No.
Still see your slides,
Still see my.
question slide.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing and start sharing again. We're going to see if this works here. Give you this one. Okay. Can you guys see that now?
Yep.
Is it pink? It's got pink on it, kind of?
Yes.
All
Yes.
right. So this, there's a hyperlink to this page. This is where we'll list the 2024 Adult 18 Over District Champions. We just need for each district color, their team number, team name, captain information. That way, if James needs to get a hold of them, he can. So just work with your tournament director. If they want you to fill this out, or they can fill this out, as long as I get them by Monday morning sometime. That works out great for me, and I can get that to James. This is the site director guide. Thank you, Laura. I stole this from you. That she made last year. I'm going to make sure everything is updated in here, and you guys will get this as well. So it gives you some basic information. So if you need to reference it, or if somebody at your site needs to reference it as well, you guys will have that. And then when you call matches, this is a very specific list of the procedure for calling matches. Call them to the tournament desk by name and team name, have them introduce themselves to each other, explain the format, who's the home team, all of those things that they get a little bit rote sometimes, but there are always new players coming in who may not realize that the match format is 2 out of 3 regular sets and that there's no time limit. That's always kind of a big shock to some new people, is there's no time limit. So that's just a little bit of a list for you guys, so you'll have it as a reference. This is the Captain and Player Hub. You will find the regulations here on the left under National and Section Regulations, so you can just open those up. There is also, if you go under More, there's a Championships tab that has a little bit more information. So if you need to reference any of that for the championship, you can. But like I said, you will get a copy of the regulations in your site director folder binder, so that you will have an actual hard copy with you. So Oh, I was going to show you, I hit stop sharing. I was going to show you anyway, so that's it. So that's the kind of hyperlink paperwork you guys will get. And, you know, if you see anything that we've missed or you think needs to be added, or you have helped, if you've helped teach people in the past that we need to add to any of those documents, please feel free to let us know. We're really trying to create a process, a procedure, system that really helps people be as successful as possible, as quickly as possible. And it can kind of be daunting for new people to be site directors and assistant site directors. So we want to try to get as much information to everybody as possible. You guys that have done this before, did I miss anything? Is there anything else I should go over?
No, I think it's good.
Okay.
It's great.
All right. So I'm gonna I'll try to send this out to you tonight or in the morning. Feel free to share it with anybody that's working with you, any of your volunteers, so that they have it if they want it, and all the hyperlinks and everything else. You're more than welcome to share as well.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Yeah, thanks so
everybody.
much. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christy.
Bye.
Everybody.
Thank you.